it made me feel a lot more like in control of situations and being like, right, that is actually so important for me, being like, in the future, if, you know, if things don't go as planned, still like show face and like be professional about it. And then because of then like fast forward in that being there and the fashion with the agency being like 4 inches, that I feel like that was a huge tool, being like, right, I can turn this into something else. And because of that, I was like, right, I know Morgan, and I know that she would be totally up for something if the two of us worked together. And then from that bad moment down south with that agency turned into something much better than it could have been if I went to the gym and then tried to lose weight that I didn't need to lose in the first place. There is something we've ended up making something that's a lot more, so much better than what could have been. And that's having that understanding of being like, is this what you wanted, or can you do something more than what you see right now? And choosing the latter and being like, I can do something more, is so important, I think, for any creative person. If there's something like, you know, like applications or job interviews or anything that doesn't go to plan, it's like, how can you make this into something bigger for the next time? Because that's what's going to get you further in your own progress and in your own self-belief. Because once that is built up, and it's like a muscle, you have to exercise it, and you understand that it's like keeping the momentum in any creative field or any field in general is so important. Because if you stopped at the first rejection or the first no, then that's always going to be. But if you keep going, then something better is guaranteed, really. Because if you keep going, you're going to learn from it. And, you know, it's so important.
That's great perspective and great advice. I think maybe it is as simple as you just keep going, and maybe some rejections hurt more than other ones. And, you know, I'm sure it's a bit of a confidence knock. I know for me, anytime something maybe doesn't quite work out the way it goes, or maybe I'm talking to somebody and I think they're going to book with me and they don't, and it's too bad. But you're right, you learn something from every experience, and that just makes room for another opportunity to come in the door. And it's not always easy to kind of keep that perspective, but I think you're right, that is really what you need to keep going and keep progressing in a creative industry.
Definitely, because it's a thing where it's like, if you keep going, the chances of you getting there are so much higher than if you stopped. And like, that's just, if you have that mindset, then you're like, I can't stop, because that's just where there's always ideas, and if something doesn't work out the first time, even in the arts as well, we're saying on the course, being like, with one art idea, there's so many other ideas in the sort of like creative bin, in a way, being like, that's not going to work. But then you can always refresh that, go through it and go, wait, actually it didn't work this time, but now it suits it better. And then maybe you could create something else. Nothing's ever really finished or over. Something's always just rejuvenating and turning into something else. So if there was any sort of, you know, like any rejection with like jobs or anything that you're like, oh, that didn't go to plan, you could be like, what did I learn? I learned this feeling, and I learned it does, you know, this is how I feel in this situation. It can't get any worse than that. So you get more strength when it comes to looking for other job applications, and now that not just jobs, just any sort of venture that you feel that one wants to pursue. The best thing you can do is go for it, because it's important for everyone.
And I think it gets easier every time as well. So yeah, you're right, you have this one experience and it's tough, and you work through it and you keep going, and then you go, oh look, I survived, I'm still here, I'm still breathing, I'm still creating, and you just keep rolling with it. And I've definitely learned that in business. There's been things that I thought were definitely going ahead and I'm definitely going to go this route, and I think probably with any business, but especially with a creative one, sometimes it takes doing something to realize, actually that's not what I want to do, and it leads you in a totally new direction. So yeah, I think that's really good advice. Just stick with it and keep going for it and see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
On that note, what is next for you? What are you working on now?
Okay, so the next thing I'm looking at projected images. And so I'm tying it in from my work on my master's, and I'm looking at a new series of images to create for I Am More Than, which are about personas and creative expression. So I'm going to create a series of images on that theme. So I'm in the middle of just like planning it and getting things to photograph. So it's in development. So there's always, I've got ideas coming, and looking to do a lot more with I Am More Than, now that the master's is is there. It's now complete, so I can now go more back into working on creative projects and art pieces for I Am More Than. So definitely, me and Morgan have got more plans for the future, and yeah, the soonest one is the creative expression project that I'll be working on in the next few weeks. So I'm excited for that.
That's amazing. Well, good luck with that. I'll keep following everything that you're up to as well. Can you tell us where to find you online? I'll put all of this in the show notes, but just so everybody has a kind of vocal.
Yeah, definitely. So our Instagram is I Am More Than. So it's like I am _more_than. That's Instagram. Personal account is Rosalind Main, and my art account is Rosalind Main Studio. And on Twitter, it's Main Rosalind _. And also on my website, which is rosalindmain.com, there's a page for I Am More Than, there's a page for my work, and there's lots of different pages of different pieces of artwork as well. So those are the main socials to connect with. And yeah, like I said earlier, we're always looking for new perspectives and people to collaborate with. So it's very much an open, message. Feel free to message with your interest, and we'll see what we can do in the future to continue collaborating and continue being inspired and hoping to inspire people as well.
That is great. So definitely check that out and get in touch with Rosalind and Morgan if you've got any ideas or interested in collaborating with them there. One last question for you then. I like to ask everybody in the podcast if they could go back and do one thing differently, what would it be? What's something that you've kind of learned the hard way?
It ties into, so learn back the hard way it ties into our last conversation, and it is to not be afraid of rejection when it comes to the arts and when it comes to applying yourself for anything that you want to do, because it happens a lot more in the creative industry, and art is about, following dreams and goals is about perseverance. So with perseverance and those feelings, always something really positive comes from continuing to work towards your goals. So I'd say getting used to learning the hard way, because at first it's always a bit daunting, but to know that your strengths are always within yourself, and when you believe in something that you really want to pursue, that's the most important strength. So it's about really seeing the benefits of continuing to keep persevering in the creative industries, not just creative industries, but any field that people want to pursue themselves in. It's so important to just have that mindset of like, this is what I want to do. And rejections may come at points, but that doesn't mean it's the end. It just means that, there's that phrase, what's for you won't go by you. And it's just that importance of continuing to persevere, because that's always the best way.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. That is a tough one that I think maybe a lot of us have to actually experience to get to the other side of. But again, really good perspective and really good advice. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and everybody definitely go and check out this amazing work.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Thanks for having me.